and I'll hear them say things like, well, no, but I can't do that, but that won't work. So I'm confused as to what you're saying. The most common body language mistake, I would say, is to think they're the gestures that fix the world around us. They just make alterations, kind of suggests that the world wasn't quite right and we're making it right again.
You're not going to like this episode, especially if you want to keep hiding behind the videos and thinking that everything you can do in editing. You can't. Not unless you understand how to own every single second. Mark Bowden told me one sentence which took me a while to understand but immediately resonates with me. He said that I'm having in every single video 30 frames per second and I have to make the best of them to gain attention, otherwise I'm losing it. This hit me hard. We think we're being judged by our ideas, our scripts, our editing, or our funnels on website or anything else. In fact, we all have been judged by the micro elements. And if you don't understand how to control those signals, you're losing the sales before you even start speaking. This conversation with Mark Bowden completely shifted my thinking. He's the world-renowned leader when it comes to nonverbal conversation. And after today, I can't unseen the knowledge he gave. I can't stop watching webinars, sales pitches, advertisements, and finding all those micro elements so that I better understand what they wanted to tell me. Don't worry, this episode might make you unstoppable in sales. My name is Nick Graz. Welcome to the NGrS Show, and today with me, Mark Bowden. Welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Nick, thanks for having me. Pleasure being here with you.
It's really something what triggered me thinking that this is around 20-something episode, and I was always realizing that people can see me like that, like somewhere here cut. And I said, okay, from this episode, I know what's the missing part. It's missing some body language and gestures and gesticulations where you are actually expert. So my first question to you is, as we are not seeing this very often, we are really not being able over the all social medias to find people who are into your niche, at least myself. So how did you firstly get started to be interested in body language and human behavior? And what was their defining moment where you said, like, I'm good in that and I'm going to present my skills to the world?
Yeah, great question, Nick. Look, before the world was very much this visual media world, I mean, all of us have got access to be able to make video, put video up. We're very much in a visual, popular media world right now. Before all of that, very early on, for me as a young kid, I was totally into visual media. I was totally into how we tell stories with pictures. And just pictures. I wasn't so much into words. I was very much into how you can use the moving human body to influence and persuade others around you. Film, theater, TV, visual art. So I got really good and in depth in that area. Very in depth around how you can choreograph and create scenarios of moving people that will have a recognized effect, a predictable effect on the audience that sees those moving bodies. And so spent a lot of time in that area, studied in that area, worked all over the world in that area, which would be film, TV, theater, advertising. And then got brought into politics and more general business around how do you use those moving human beings? How can you choreograph all manner of human beings, be they in politics or business, in order to get a predictable effect on the audience, seeing that person speak, whether they're trying to become a prime minister of a country, or they're trying to sell you a product or service, or they're trying to lead a very large company. What do they need to do on purpose to stand out, to win trust, to gain credibility every time they communicate? So, Nick, that's been my journey and obsession with the visual image through influence and persuasion to now helping people all over the world use those moving images to get the results that they're looking for.
This is very important because one of the things which I realized is that completely different picture we're giving to people if we just stay without any gestures and just speak like robotic scripted, or if we're having some hand movements, eye movements, eyebrow movements, and everything else. So when it comes to very influential people on this planet, like presidents you was worked with or prime ministers. I actually know you were working with Prime Minister of Canada, right? What were they struggled most with? Is it a confidence part, or is it something where they're feeling themselves kind of like shy and not natural giving some gestures?
Yeah. Everybody that I end up working with has got to a level of their ability which has taken them so far, and now they need to go further, whatever that might be. And they now realize that they can't go back necessarily to their old behaviors. Whatever got them to this level isn't necessarily going to get them to the next level. And there'll be many people out there that will go, well, just be your authentic self. Just do whatever you do because it seems to have got you to this point here. But those people don't understand that what got that leader, let's say, to the point where they're at, where they're now wanting to shift gears and get higher, was not necessarily their authentic selves. It was partly that. It was somewhat that. But what got them there was some very purposeful moves, some very purposeful behaviors that caused the world around them to conspire to elevate them, because their instinctual behavior in that situation of stress, their instinctual behavior wouldn't have instilled confidence in the public around them. So they purposely behaved in a way to get where they are. And you might go, okay, well, can't they keep on purposely behaving like that? No, they're now moving into a different world, a different sphere, where we now require some new behaviors. And now they feel awkward in those new behaviors, or they don't know the behaviors, or they don't feel like they're going to be able to execute the behaviors in a way which is credible. So I help them with their vocabulary. I help them with, here are some behaviors that will get you the results. I help them testing that new vocabulary and getting them comfortable with that, because it's not like they don't do those behaviors. They just haven't done them amplified at that level, or they haven't done those behaviors in this circumstance amplified to that level. So I help them test performing those behaviors at the level needed in order to communicate. I help them as well to keep to those behaviors, to make a choice, to make it bigger, to keep it tidy, to make sure that they are committed to a very, very clear, laser sharp, thin line of communication. And they take away all the mud around that. So they have a very bright, shining star in the sky for people to follow.
This is very powerful and in-depth explanation, which leads me suddenly to the next question, which I didn't plan. In that case, is it for anyone unique way of you're coaching them and explaining them for the gesture? Because somehow it's a different way of speaking, and it's a different way of appearing as a politician, as a sales trainer, as a leader in the company. So in my mind, I'm starting to getting that it's personalized for each person and their brand as well.
Yes. There are, look, the vocabulary could be fairly universal. Okay. There could be a vocabulary that I can use, that you can use, Nick, that everybody can use. But it's choosing the right words, let's say, in that vocabulary. It's choosing the right sentence. It's choosing exactly the right sound. It's amplifying that by only choosing that, and it's delivering that time and time again, and not going, but would there be something better? But have I made the right choice? But maybe I should add this. Maybe I should have done this and said this at the same time. It's rather like any top performer. A top performer makes a choice. They make that choice bigger so it can really be seen, and they keep it tidy. They don't add stuff to it because that muddies it. Nick, let me give you an example. I work with a lot of top portfolio managers across the world. Okay. The people who choose what stocks, or financial instruments should be put in a packet, and then you should buy that because they predict, they promise that it will deliver an above market return. They will do better than the general market. Those people, in my experience, find a niche to exploit. They find an area that they know they can get higher returns out of. They exploit that and they stick to it. And as the markets start turning, as things start changing, many things start changing in the market, they don't react to that immediately. They stick with their idea because they have conviction and they have belief and they have experience and they have data. So whereas you and I, Nick, would go, damn, we've made the wrong choice. Look where the market's going. We thought it was going, but hang on, we've made the right sell and buy that thing over there. Yeah. They don't. They stick with it because they are convicted. That's what I do with my clients. I help them be utterly convicted to their message and how brightly and sharply they're going to communicate that message.
How coachable they are to accept all of these new gestures and new kind of like appearance in front of the audience where they were probably for quite some time very confident and convenient using it.
Listen, if they haven't lost a sense of confidence, if they're doing fine, they're never going to ask for me. They're never going to go to their team and go, I really need some help around this. Or their team are never going to approach them and go, you need some help. We know somebody. That's never going to happen. They know that at this point in the tools and techniques of communication that they have met the end of the road. They're all out of ideas. Okay. They know that. So they are, and they didn't get to where they are by being stupid. They have a certain level of ability and intelligence, not massively broad or wildly intelligent, but enough, more than good enough, that means they've risen to as high as they can possibly get at that point. And now they know they're out at the end of the pier, right on the edge of it. They see the lake, they see the other side of it, and they can't cross that lake.
Yeah, they feel that they've hit the limit.
They've hit the limit. Yeah. And I haven't hit the limit. For them, the way I can see them, the experience that I have, I've not hit the limit. Now, that's not to say that I won't get a client who will try for a while, a few minutes to push back. They'll try because the body and the mind are designed for homeostasis, which means it wants to do the minimal possible to get away with just about being alive. Yeah, that's all it wants to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah? So they will go back to homeostasis, and I'll hear them say things like, well, no, but I can't do that, but that won't work. Yeah. And I'll say,
typical objections.
Yeah. And I'll say, well, when you say I can't do that and that won't work, are you saying that you don't feel you can do that and you haven't, because you haven't done it and you haven't seen it work? Because when you say you can't do that, like I can do that and I would do that. And I've had other clients who have done that and it's worked. So I'm confused as to what you're saying. Are you saying you won't do that? Are you saying you haven't seen yourself do that and so you're worried about doing that? Or are you saying something else? Which one is it? Because when you say you can't do that, people do that and it works. So help me. So very quickly, I'm able to
navigate them.
We're able to navigate out of this. You can't row across the river. You can't row across the lake. Yeah, you can.
Absolutely.
You absolutely can. It's like, I'll show you 100 people doing it right now that you can't see because they're so fast. You can't see them even rowing at the moment.
Absolutely.
They're doing it in a way that you've never seen it done before. So you can't tell me you can't, because I can.
Mark, what are the most common body language mistakes professionals makes when speaking on the stage or in the meeting?
Yeah, listen, the most common body language mistake, I would say, is to think that there is bad body language. There is stuff you can't do, you shouldn't do. There is no bad behavior. There is no bad body language. There's just results that you wanted or didn't want. That's all. And so something, Nick, that you might go, hey, I don't think you should do that. Again, I go, what do you mean you shouldn't do that? Where are you talking about? Are you talking about you? Are you talking about my other clients? Like, my other clients do it and they get a great result out of this. So when you say don't do that, or somebody shouldn't do that, where does your information come from? There are no bad behaviors. There is no bad body language. There's just results that you wanted or didn't want. So that's the first mistake, is thinking there's, don't do this. Don't do this. Yeah, do it if it's going to get the result that you want. If it's not going to get you the result that you want, do something else. Now, here's the second problem. Do you know what else you could do? Do you have a big enough vocabulary? Because if you don't have vocabulary, you've got nothing else to choose from other than your innate responses to things. And people go, yeah, but I mean, I should just be authentic. I should just be innate. Your innate responses are designed to keep you comfortable. They're designed to do the very least in order to just keep you alive.
Yeah, but not persuasive.
They're not persuasive. They're not designed to get you more than you should have. They're not designed for that at all. They're designed to keep you utterly safe for minimal cost. That is your instinct. They're designed to keep you in safety, not designed to keep you pushing through the barriers and through the threats. They will cause you, your innate behaviors will cause you to move away from the barriers and the threats and just stand still. So long as you're alive, just stand still and do nothing. So this whole be authentic piece doesn't work for people who are trying to get more than their genetics and upbringing and personality has designed them to accept.
Yeah, that's interesting point, because my next question for you is, do you believe, out of all your experience, that somewhere gesture and body language is connected with the energy we keep within us inside, and somehow with our personality, or this is completely transformational and changeable?
Yeah, well, look, so let's just say your personality exists in your head. Okay, you got a set of let's make the human brain a bit like a piece of programming and a computer, though it is nothing like that. Let's just pretend that it's like that. Let's just say your personality has a set of algorithms, a set of kind of coding that says, look, if this, patterns, if this, then do this. Yeah. And then if this, then do this, or lay up two choices and do that or that, and test one of the choices. And then if the choice seems to be getting you result X, keep on down that neural pathway, let's say. Let's say that's kind of personality. And in that view, we'd go, okay, so that must be set down at some point, and that doesn't change. And some people have the idea of personality, and they go, you get this personality, and that doesn't change, and so you can take a personality test, and ultimately you should keep that personality forever because it was set. I don't think that's accurate. That's not my experience. I've seen people whose personality seems to have evolved over time and changed over time. And I've seen other people whose personalities can flip, can turn on a dime. It's like, wow, this isn't the same person. And then it can flip back again. So hang on. Now, some people might call that a personality disorder. Okay, so now they're saying, okay, well, the personality has to be rigid and stuck and shouldn't flip. Therefore, if it does flip, that's a personality disorder. Okay, because we want it set and stuck. I would say that our personalities are multifaceted. They're super complex. And they not only involve, let's say, these algorithms going on, but also they are constantly triggered and molded and augmented by the physical environment around us and what we perceive that to be as well, what is actually there and what we think is there, and also our own body as well, and the way that moves through that physical environment, or the way we perceive it to move through, either accurately or inaccurately. And so this multifaceted personality, sometimes the light shines off it in a certain way, and we think, oh, we've got this kind of person. And then the environment changes and time changes or something happens, and now the light is shining off another facet. Let me give you an example of this. Nick, the way that you're talking with me today, yeah, is this the way? I don't know. By the way, do you still have both your parents, or just one parent, or?
Unfortunately, not. But yeah, like we can use it as an example. I don't.
Yeah.
My parents passed away.
Yeah. Okay. So let's brothers, sisters.
I have a brother, younger.
Okay, yeah. Let's choose your brother. Thank you. Yeah. The way you're talking to me now, do you talk like that to your brother?
No. And this is actually very interesting. Yes.
Oh, so I'm confused, Nick. Are you being authentic with me right now, or are you being authentic with him?
That's a very deep question, because I'm that one who was kind of believing that professional way of communicating with somebody should be detached than the family one. Am I right or not? I'm not sure from your perspective.
Okay, we could come to that, but are you,
I believe,
like, who are you lying to then? I mean, or is it all you?
Yes, it's all me, absolutely.
Okay, right. It's all you.
Yes, 100%.
Like, yeah. So you're being you. You're presenting, purposely or unconsciously, a facet of you, a particular facet of you to me, and then another particular facet of you to your family member, and both are you.
Yes, I saw that coming from your question. I was expecting that you're going to make that analogy. And I must admit that I was deeply thinking, am I authentic in front of the camera? As a reel, as a story, as Zoom calls with my clients and so on. Then I said, yes, I am. Because it's again me. And as I'm sometimes very loud and as I'm sometimes very passionate about something speaking, my wife is usually telling me in the house, like, don't shout, please. And she's telling me that the same, souffling me, like from the behind of the laptop, she's telling me down. And I said, like, yeah, this definitely means it's like both of Nick's are myself, just in the different environmental area. Maybe I'm twigging something and adopting towards that environment what I want to make as a result, as we spoke before. Right.
So, for example, if you started being the part of you that relates very well with your wife, and started using that tonality, that volume on a sales call, would you get the results that you were looking for?
100% no. I would be less persuasive, right? So
Right.
absolutely
Okay.
not.
Okay. And if you started being the sales call you with your wife, would it get you the relationship and the results that you're looking for?
It depends. Probably no, because again, she knows me the best, right? So
Right.
she would feel that I entered in the business shoes, and she would
Right,
say
right, right,
probably
right.
like, change yourself and come back.
Right, 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 right. Okay, okay. So you are choosing your behaviors to get the results that you want and you need.
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
and that's all. Now, luckily for you, you you've got those behaviors. You're not going into that sales situation going, I'll be like I am at home. Okay, in that sales situation.
Yeah,
Now,
100%.
that's not to say there could be a product or a service or a customer or a version of home you that wouldn't be a great salesperson. And I'm sure
Oh,
aspects of that come in. Okay, I'm sure
absolutely.
aspects of that come in. But what you're doing is taking, look, here's the best of my at-home behaviors that I'm going to bring in, because there will be some overlap. It's not a flipped switch.
Yeah.
There's some overlap, but I'd say there's a different facet and there's a different amplification of that. You are, what you're able to do is choose those behaviors and know when to choose them. Not everybody can do that. It can be learnt. Okay,
Yes.
you've learned somehow. I don't know how you learned, but you learned somehow how to
That's
do it. In fact,
exactly what.
why don't you tell me that, Nick? Like, how did you learn the version of you that goes on a Zoom call and kind of influence and persuades best? How did you learn that?
Okay, you're the first person to ask me that actually, and I was thinking, should I ever speak about that? And yes,
Right?
definitely I will. Here is the thing: my beginning in the sales, my beginning several years ago, probably 8 years already back, when I was first time ever selling something online. I was feeling myself, it's absolutely the same. Like I would speak to somebody on the street whom I already
Right.
know, who is my friend. And then I realized that the results are not coming in. Training by training, especially joining Jeremy Miner stuffs, and this is actually
Yeah.
how you and me met,
Yeah.
is about different tonalities, about
Yes.
different questions, about different gesticulations and mimics which I'm using. And I started to explore this more and more. And then recently, I stood up on Thais Lopez, one fraction of his program, where he's speaking about our charisma is helping us in the way to we transfer the energy of
Yeah.
belief in the product or belief in the something what we want to get as a result, which leads us closer to a touch with that person and grab their attention, which is
Yeah.
whole point of sales. And little by little, call by call, I become the version of myself where I cannot say that I'm fully satisfied, and we will speak about that, by the way,
Yeah.
but I can say that I'm satisfied with the level where I'm operating right now. There are still so many things in my storytellings and in my way of expressing which I'm willing to work with. But yes, it was just experience from experience collecting data, how I perform here, reviewing my own calls. This is the first podcast out of 20 behind, which I did with amazing people, with, by the way, where I wasn't using enough of my gesticulations and stuffs simply because I was too close to the wall. And
Right.
I was looking at that as some point is missing. And I said to myself, Mark, it's missing. Actually, his stuffs are missing. So I detached myself. So now I can play with the camera more often. And yeah, it was all about experience, day by day, like improvement in that.
Yeah. Listen,
Still,
that's the
still, I
great.
somehow, still, I somehow believe it's also a charisma in the personality, because I'm not seeing many people use that. I'm seeing
Yeah.
people still being pretty much robotic.
Well, look, I wrote down that word charisma as you were talking. So let's just talk about charisma and let's talk about what Jeremy does. Jeremy Miner does, because he's brilliant. He's brilliant at what he does.
Absolutely.
So charisma, from my point of view, is just a choice. That's it. somebody's charismatic because it is clear what they're doing. And so you can't help but watch them because it's clear. It's not necessarily that you like what they're doing. There can be charismatic people. I know plenty of charismatic people where I'm like, I don't like their message, but their message is clear. I get it. And because I get it, I don't like it. There's other charismatic people where I really love their message. How do I know what their message is? Because it is clear. The level of clarity, they made a choice, they made it bigger, and they're keeping it tidy, and it is perfectly communicated. Okay. So charisma is just focus. And because it's focus, people focus on it and they can copy it. Charisma can be a good leader because it's followable, because it's very clear. Okay. So let's talk about Jeremy, because he's great at what he does. And a lot of his focus is on these intonations of the voice,
Absolutely.
which is great. And he performs when he's training, from what I've seen of his training, he's very good at performing those intonations, so people get exactly what he's talking about in terms of the different attitudes he can express through intonation that can lead a prospect through a journey, for themselves, of questioning what's going on in their own mind. Absolutely. And divulging information.
Go all the way deep in the problem and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. And he performs those intonations really well. Why is he able to do that? Not because he's putting them on. He's amplifying what he's already discovered in himself. Yeah, he already does correct. those intonations in real life. Of course, he's confused. As a human being, he's confused sometimes. He just takes that confusion, amplifies it big enough so another human being anywhere on the planet would go, oh, you're confused. Let me fill in the gap for you. Yeah, and they lean into him. Yeah. So he's not doing anything that he didn't already have. Now, my guess is through his training, whoever he trained with or the experiences that he got that trained him, he suddenly, hit upon, say, for example, this kind of confusion dynamic. And when I'm a bit confused, they seem to elicit a lot of information. Let me just ramp up the volume on that. Yeah. How do I purify that so it's beautifully pure and it's charismatic enough so people join me in that and they fill in the gaps?
This makes a lot of sense. This makes a lot of sense because people nowadays are consuming somebody's content through the eyes of, okay, I picked up the information, that's it. But if you think deeply about that, he really does that. He amplifies exactly there where is the problem just in order to make this connection sticking with what he wants as a result. And this is actually the whole point of significant amount of sales he made. He's recently celebrating $100 million, and my congratulations on this weight for
brilliant
for him. Yeah, I want to ask you next question. Can you explain the idea of nonverbal trust and how to build it quickly in a conversation when it comes to the sales? Because this is something what I'm mostly doing here, so I would like to hear your observation on that.
Yeah.
Hey, you. This isn't for you if you want to get just better at sales. This is for people who want to truly dominate it. Either it's DMs, calls, webinars, keynote speaking presentations, or any other form, Instagram or Facebook stories as well. The game has changed. AI, it's just around the corner. So if you're relying on old sales scripts, old sales pitches, or if you're relying to learn sales from the old books written even 2 or 3 years ago, to not even speak about 10 or 20 or 30 years ago bestsellers, you're losing the game. Your sales will not perform in the best way. See, this is why I created this community. To give you unfair sales advantage in every format, every tool, for every buyer. Cold DMs, sales calls, sales pitches, understanding the sales pitches, breaking down sales objection, and everything else what you need to understand when it comes to different tonalities and sales psychology so that you understand how to better perform your sales. This isn't another Slack, WhatsApp, or Telegram group. This is a community of people who want to become not just better at sales, sales dominators. It's free, and you can join it just by clicking the link below in the description of this video.
Yeah, non-verbal trust. Okay, so first of all, let's just unpack the idea of trust. Okay, trust is the confidence that you have that the universe will kind of play out as you expect it will play out. Okay, like you got out of bed this morning and you automatically trusted that gravity would be at play.
Oh yeah.
You didn't go, better be careful because I could float up to the ceiling. It's just like, okay, you know how the world will play out. Now, luckily for you, and you'll have never probably been to outer space where you'd really experience zero gravity. So all of your life you've experienced alongside all the other human beings you're around what gravity feels like, and it doesn't ever disappear, apart from maybe on a fairground ride. But that's not even really gravity. That's centrifugal forces playing against gravity. Okay, you probably knew that. It's like gravity hasn't disappeared. This is I'm just in free fall right now, or I'm just experiencing a centrifugal force or a centripetal force. Okay, so you've got a whole bunch of things going on in your head that say things will work out a certain way. Okay. And so therefore you trust. Yeah. Now, there comes a point in your life where things aren't going as you hoped they would go. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so then you start to go, well, hang on, how will I remedy that? How will I fix that? Yeah. And so you start looking around for a solution to the issue that you have. And so you hit on a bunch of solutions, especially these days. You just get on the internet and you're like, how do I boil an egg? How do I fix my central heating system? How do I, make a daffodil grow? There's all kinds of things. How do I increase my sales tenfold? Yeah, you go in, you start researching solutions, but then you go, I've never enacted this solution before. How do I know it will work? Well, you don't know it will work. Mm-hmm. So in order to test anything, you must trust. You've got to put your trust somewhere. And so what tends to happen is you start moving towards another human being and going, tell me about this. But you don't say, tell me about this because I've never experienced this before and I don't trust it. And give me some trust in this so I can at least start the process of a solution, because otherwise I will do nothing. Unless I have some trust in one of these solutions, I'll be in stasis and it won't get fixed. And I'll be kind of uncomfortable in the problem, but I'd rather be more comfortable in the solution. But my worry is I will be uncomfortable in the solution. Okay.
Absolutely good point.
So you start looking for trust. Now, here's the thing. Say we get on a sales call and basically I'm on this sales call with you. I'm the potential buyer. You're the seller, the salesperson. I'm only on this call because I'm looking for trust. I know what I want. I've researched it on the internet. There may be some little things like, tell me about this, but it's all about trust. Now, here's the thing. I've never touched, tasted, smelt. I've never got my hands on this solution. I mean, literally, it could be a solution made up of ones and zeros in the cloud somewhere. So I can't touch it at all. I'm going to go down that route if I trust you. So now the question becomes, you are my conduit to the feeling of trust in the product. How do I trust you? Trust is about predictability, predicting the future. Can you instinctually give me the feeling that the future is safer with you? Here's the nonverbal way you do it. Here's a good example. Do symmetrical gestures. The more symmetrical your gestures are, the more predictable that person is, the more trustworthy they will seem. So there I was doing symmetrical gestures in front of you right now. And now what I'm going to do is asymmetrical gestures. And now I'm going to change up those asymmetrical gestures. Now the images around me are becoming less predictable, and therefore I come across as less trustworthy. Here I am with symmetrical gestures. Now I'm more predictable. You have a better feeling about me. Makes sense, Nick?
Makes absolute sense. I just want to ask you additional question to that. Are there any gestures which can kind of trigger red flag or insecurity in a prospect on that trust call? Call it trust call.
Let me give you this. We have gestures which are called by some adapters. They're the gestures that fix the world around us. They just make alterations to the world around us. It kind of suggests that the world wasn't quite right and we're making it right again. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to repeat the same adapter. Okay, I'm just going to repeat the same adapter as I talk to you, and I want you to get the sense of, is this making me more trustworthy or less trustworthy?
Absolutely perfectly you explained it. And all of you guys who are listening to this podcast to the audio platforms, move to the video one, immediately move, because this was clearly the most visionable answer I ever got on anything I have been asked, like without any drawing, without any whiteboard, without anything. It's absolutely perfect. And you're very right in that.
Right.
It's absolutely created feeling in me like, wow, this is the model of insecure behavior.
So let me give you some examples with some sales pitch, okay, which I'm just making up as I go along. First part of this sale, I'm going to try and use the same words, and pretty much the same intonation as well, as much as I can. First time I'll use symmetrical gestures on you, and the second time I will use a repetitious adaptation, which we'd often call self-soothing. Often the repetitious adapter is also called a self-soothing gesture. Okay. So Nick, I know you haven't even touched the product yet, but I want you to trust that this is the product for you. This will really help you. Nick, I know you haven't touched the product yet, but I want you to know that this is the product for you. This product will really help you.
Yeah, it absolutely makes complete difference. It's absolutely the same tonality, the same sentence, the same posing, and everything is the same. But the picture is this one which detached from the sale in the second example.
And here's what I want to add to this, Nick. Is this self-soothing adaptations under stress and pressure of the sales call, that could be the truly authentic me. Okay? That could be my authentic response.
You mean something like a certain tics which people may have?
Yeah, this could actually feel comfortable for me because I feel soothed by it. So I come away from this going, you know what? I felt really authentic in that moment. Yeah,
like a pattern behavior.
Right. Whereas the symmetrical gestures under stress and pressure, this is a behavior that I'm doing on purpose. This is a facet of me that I'm choosing to shine at that moment, which is potentially not authentically what I want to do with the feeling that I have of stress and pressure of making this sales call with you. This adaptation. This response is the authentic me, but I have to choose my behaviors to get the results that I'm wanting and needing.
Yeah, according to your prediction, what will lead you to that result?
Exactly.
Unbelievably good, Mark. Like, thank you for this free lesson.
And Nick, let me just add one thing to you, because we might go, based on that, we might go, okay, we'll never do self-soothers. Okay, never do that. No, there is no bad behavior. There's just results that you wanted or didn't want. So So let me do this little bit of sales pitch on you. So, Nick, I know you haven't touched our product yet, but I want you to know, in my experience, this product really works for organizations like the one that you're involved with. Now, I know that you'll have had pitches from all other, brands, organizations around this, and they've given you some really good pitches, okay? Good prices, good products, good service. Take a really good look at those pitches that you've had, because there's some good product out there. There's some good people out there. Come back to us, get a sense of what we're looking to do with you, and make the right decision around this one.
Yeah, I saw it. I can feel it, that even though that it can be a part of you pulling the collar, right? It still have an authenticity which still brings that necessary trust, even as a combination of both.
Yeah. So in doing a self-soother while I talked about the competition and told you they were good, you got a bad feeling.
Absolutely, yes.
About that. Yeah. And some little voice in your head was probably, actually, you tell me, Nick, tell me about the competition. What's your assumption? What are you feeling about that? What are you feeling about that competition? By the way, I know they have better pricing than us, for sure. Okay. We know that. What's your feeling about the competition?
Yeah, this can create this moment of me being quite sure you're not certain that you are distinguished than your competitors.
Right.
And this can kind of show me your positioning if I truly pay attention to your videos, which is actually the whole point of delivery, because you're using all advantages of a video gives you to get the results you want, which is absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, look, we're in a wonderful time at the moment in that I can look. You're in the Canary Islands, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
You're about as far away. You're right off of Africa, so to North Africa. So, and I'm in Toronto right now. It would take a long time for us to do this live together. That
absolutely
would be a massive investment for both of us. Okay, for both of us. And so this video technology is an extraordinary opportunity for us to be able to build trust with each other without that huge outlay that would mean we'd probably never do it. We just probably wouldn't. The risk of me getting on a plane to you or you getting on a plane to me, the risk would be too high. We wouldn't do it. Here, with this technology, we can try all kinds of risks at very low cost. Now, the issue with that is because it's low cost risk, we start to believe that actually, hey, Nick can't be that good. Actually, Mark can't be that good. Like, how good are we if it costs us so little?
Exactly, because the choice is wider and wider.
Absolutely. The choice is wider and wider. I could get on any call with just about any people. So here's what we need to do especially non-verbally and verbally in these calls, is we need to raise the risk, raise the social risk, to raise the value. Wasn't there one, I can't remember who it is, but I heard this story yesterday. Perceived value. Somebody who got kidnapped and then said to their kidnappers sent out how much the government needed to pay. And the person said, no, you're going to, it was a Roman. It was a Roman. I mean, it might've been Caesar, I think. Said, no, like double, triple that. Else they'll think because it'll give me a better perceived value. So actually told the kidnappers to ask for more. Okay. To raise the value.
To raise the value.
Yeah. If it's too easy, the value goes down. Well, this is very easy to do. So we need to raise the value. So constantly on our call together, I'm trying to raise the value all the time. I'm trying to do more in the frame, put more energy into it. You get to see this whole surrounding here. You get to have the sense that you are in a room with me. You're literally in my home right now, which raises the social value and significance of this.
That's very right. And this is why at the very beginning I said about your background, and I'm slightly thinking about changing mine. But here is the thing. You brought up something very interesting, and there are two very short stories which I want to share with you when it comes to exactly that moving picture, which makes people being more and more connected with what we are doing. Probably already half year ago, I was in a biggest animal park here on Tenerife. It's called Lora Park, and there is a moving floor with the penguins, and there you can see penguins in kind of cylindrical shape aquarium. Let's call it aquarium because it has still the water,
Yeah.
and people are queuing at the very beginning, but as the ride, it's around 10 or 15 minutes. And look this, how often can you see penguins? For me, it was first time in my life. Even though I was traveling in Asia and visiting so many of these big oceanariums, I first time ever saw penguins. People have patience for around 5 minutes of that belt. After the 5 minutes, everybody walks. Nobody stays anymore. Nobody makes videos and photos. Everybody walks. The belt is empty. And this was the first time ever it triggered me that humans' attention is very shranked. Penguins are pretty much static. They are not doing some, I don't know, enormous amount of activities which can keep your attention. So
Right.
people are in the mood like, okay, I saw them, goodbye, I'm not wasting my time. And they're walking. Even though they can see penguins probably once in a lifetime when they come here or eventually if they go on Antarctica or wherever they live. And another thing is that I was playing to my child some Disney cartoons, which I grew up with.
Yeah.
One of them is Mowgli,
Yeah. The Jungle Book.
Jungle Book. The Mowgli is moving slowly, too many frames. My child is losing attention. For him, it's like, "Oh, it's boring. Like, come on. He can move. What is he waiting for?" And he's questioning it. And he's 9 years old. And I said, like, wow, probably each of us needs to adopt to this exactly what you're speaking, that the moving picture is something what sells, and to put as much as possible in the frame so that literally bombarding with those moving pictures, we are more persuasive. So give me your thoughts on that and tell me how we can benefit from this nowadays in the era of all the video content we are consuming. Is this meaning in editing more of features and driving pictures, or this is still meaning us being more authentic and more with hand gestures, face expressions, and everything else?
Yeah, well, look, I think you're right. We're broadcasting to each other at the moment at about 30 frames a second. Okay, so we've got potentially 30 different pictures that go down into the internet. That costs money. Okay, that's a resource. Okay,
Absolutely.
yeah, and so we should use that resource because the alternative. I'm now going to keep as still as I possibly can, and just talk to you here now. Okay, I will give you exactly the same content, but notice what happens just as I put just these little bits of movement in. Okay, and start to animate the frame for you. It gets more attention from you, and I just think economically it makes more sense. Because otherwise, why not just do 1 frame a second? Why not just no frames a second? Make it a phone call. If you're not going to move, make it a phone call. Okay. By the way, I'll beat you on video every time because I'll be animated by a great word. Anima means life. Okay. I'll be lively. The risk in my call will go up because I'm truly alive in front of that audience. And therefore, they will see me as more valuable than you on your phone call. I can have a worse brand with less money put behind it. I can have a worse product and service. Okay. I will sell better because the value, the perceived value will go up because I'm using those frames. So just look at the economics of it. You're buying the frames, use the frames. They're there for a reason. It works better. 30 frames a second of moving image works better than no frames a second of moving it. Works better than 15, works better than anything between 24 and 30
Yeah,
is good.
absolutely. And all of this, what you're saying, it's actually coming to the point of attention grabbing because this is probably one of the asset people still pay us with, even though they consume free of our content because it's their attention towards us.
Right.
I want to ask you now, I have a couple of more questions here
Sure.
about unpacking real scenarios. So you analyze so many presidents, politicians, business icons, to not name all of them right now, we would need probably an hour. Uh, what's one breakdown that surprised you the most?
What's one breakdown that surprised you? One of my favorite ones that we did at the behavior panel is Prince Andrew from way back. You remember he went and maybe you remember, maybe the audience remember, he went and did an interview with Emily Maitlis in the palace, in Buckingham Palace, where she questioned him on his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and the issues around all of that. What surprised me was his naivety and somewhat arrogance around how well he thought he could do under those circumstances. That all of us can be better at what we do. All of us can learn something new. All of us can improve and should get help and take training around all of this.
Very cool. I will definitely put that in the edit part so that we can remind the people and they can see it.
Sure.
And out of all your experience, what's a myth about body language that people still believe, but it simply isn't true?
Yeah. Okay. So I think the best myth, and maybe I can kind of describe this to you, is that there's kind of a dictionary. There's this always means this. If somebody does this, it means this. Human beings are too complex. We're not only complex as human beings, but then we exist within a complex environment. And the play between the two means that in order to analyze behavior, body language, you really need to do analysis, which means it isn't just reading from a dictionary, it's critical thinking. Okay? So the biggest myth really would be is that body language is a language, and it's not. Body language is a metaphor that we use in order to make the idea of nonverbal communication approachable to most people. So they go, oh, it's body language. Like I'd be able to read that stuff like I read a book. Yeah, you can read it like you read a book if you imagine that the book changes every time you go and read it, and the pages move all the time, and the book is floats in an environment where that environment impinges on the book and decides which page it goes to and what words show up. It's like, yeah, it's reading that kind of, reading body language, is reading that kind of book.
Something like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
This literally beats the theory. There is a data I read or heard, or I cannot remember, that 93% of humans communication, it's actually non-verbal one. This literally beats that theory now, what you said, because in fact, like, we cannot use body gestures as a language. So what is your opinion on that?
Okay, so let me unpack those numbers. That number comes from some science that was done, which that science didn't really say that. I'm going to say in my words what I think that science said. I think what actually that science said is that in order for our brains to predict, to get a prediction, to feel like it can predict what somebody else is thinking, feeling, or intending towards us, the majority of data our brain wants is visual. Okay. Some of the data it wants is sonic, is tone of voice. So we mainly want to see what somebody's doing, what context they're in as well. We partly want to hear the tonality of their voice, and we're not that concerned about what they say in order for us to feel like we can accurately predict what somebody is thinking, feeling, and intending towards us. Okay. So it's quite complex and specific.
It is,
what I
but
said there.
It is, but if we deep dive into that, we find actually the reality of how is this interpreted nowadays with a simple sentence. 93% of humans' language is a body language, which
yes, that's patent nonsense. That's just nonsense. That doesn't ring true for the world that we're in. Okay,
absolutely.
so we know it's that doesn't make any sense. Hopefully, what does make sense is for me to get a feeling that I can accurately predict what you are thinking and feeling towards me right now. I mainly want to see what you're doing. I partially want to hear the intonation of your voice, and I'm not that concerned about what you say. So for me to feel like, oh, Nick is angry with me right now, or is upset at me right now, or happy with me right now, I'm not that concerned that you said, hey, Mark, I'm happy about this. I'm more concerned about what did you do and how did you sound? Now, because it's a prediction, I can still get it wrong, but I can feel like I got it right. And it's how I feel about your feelings towards me, not towards other people. Okay, not when I'm not in the room. Okay, it's the predictions that I can make about your intentions and feelings towards me. I'm going mainly or almost exclusively and wholly on nonverbal data, on paralanguage, not language.
That's very deep. And one of the things which you have been speaking in your TED speech with the eyebrows, when you have been explaining to people this simple example of meeting on the street and raising the eyebrows can be triggering. I want to ask you from your perspective, what is the thing which mostly impact on people? Is this a posture? Is this a tone? Is this an eye contact? Like, what is the one of the things which you believe that mostly it's kind of magnetic with people that can set up some frames and, let's say, expectations?
Yeah, open behavior. So we've got points on our body that are under more threat than others. Carotid arteries, windpipe, anywhere else where there's a lot of blood flow, center of gravity, delicate organs. Some of those delicate organs, important organs, are covered by rib cage, so we're not worried about that. We're worried about where those delicate areas are not protected. The more we open up those areas, the more confident we will look, the more I guess attracted people might be towards us because we look non-threatening. And also we look like we're existing in a non-threatening environment. Okay. We're projecting that the environment around us right now doesn't have predators in it. I'm not a predator. There's no predators around me. And therefore you'll want to be closer in on my environment. Okay. Alternatively, I can start to show you behaviors that would suggest there are predators in the room and that maybe I might be one as well. You'll start to predict that. Yeah. This will make me this will make it less attractive for you to be around me and my environment. Okay. So one we could just call open body language and the other we could call closed body language. Okay. And so look, if you want to attract more people towards you, do more of what you think is open body language. You don't need an expert to go, I could tell you everything, but I mean, it's easier for you to just go, oh, I probably guess it's this. And you're probably going to guess right. Okay. As to what open is and what closed is. Do more open. do less closed, okay, as a general rule, unless you think closed is going to get you the result that you're looking for, and then do even more closed and make that choice and make it bigger and keep it tidy, okay? But
That's very,
otherwise, more open body language.
that's very well advice, very good advice, priceless basically, because nowadays I believe that everybody's when it's fighting for attention, this is one of the key elements which can lead toward that path. Uh, I don't want to take you so much time, even though that I would speak to you hours on this topic, especially when it comes to all these body parts and tonalities. But I want to ask you, what are you currently passionate about teaching, and what are the things which people can experience who are listening to this episode and who want to get in closer touch with Mark?
Yeah, lovely. Look, I am passionate about teaching nothing. Okay, the only thing I'm passionate about is helping people. And so if that involves me teaching, or this involves me instructing, or that involves me coaching, or doing a keynote, or writing a book, I do whatever is necessary in order to help. That's the passion. I just want people. There's no reason for people to be deficient in this area. Okay, there's just no reason. The help is there. Go and get the help, and the help is in many forms, and that's what I'm passionate about. If you want some help via video, okay, I will give you some training on that, and just go to the link wherever the links are, okay, and click on that link, and you'll get some training on that. And you can always find me at truthplane.com, or you can Google my name, Mark Bowden, and you will find me. But quickest way is find a link, click on that, and it'll take you to some training. How about that?
Thank you so much. I'll definitely put that link in the description of this video, and all of you who are listening to the audio platforms, you will get it in the description of that audio file. Mark, I really want to thank you so much for this wonderful interview, for joining me, for uncovering a lot of stuff when it comes to gesture and body language. And I believe that everybody together with me enjoyed, because I truly enjoyed a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick.
If you have made it till the end of this episode, you're not here just to consume the content. You're here to pay attention. And the truth is, most people never realize that it's not all about what they say. It's how they show up, because they have only one chance to leave first impression. It's the pose before the sentence. It's the tonality. It's the verbal and non-verbal communication. But Mark, he's proof that your presence is your message. The confidence is a signal. And that if you can shape how others see you, you can shape what's possible for you. So if something shifted in you today, don't just sit with it. Ask yourself, what I'm communicating without saying a word. And if this question stings a little, it's probably because it matters. And if it matters, you might be want to hear more of these conversations. So hit the subscribe button, not because I need another person on my subscriber list, but because of you, for the version of yourself who is ready to take the lead. And if this episode helped you somehow, text it to someone, share it to someone, not to impress them, but to help them see themselves better. My name is Nick Graz. This was Nick Graz Show, and I will see you in the next episode.